Hi, this is Jim Hodges, Principal Analyst at Heavy Reading, and this week I'm in Barcelona at World Congress, and today I'm here with Charlie Ashton from Wind River. Charlie, welcome.
Jim, good to see you again.
There's a lot of talk at this show this week already about what I call sort of critical applications. We seem to be at a point now where we have cloud architecture, cloud reference architecture, we're deploying the cloud, and in the past we were thinking about cloud applications, but now we're thinking about applications in a much more sort of critical way. And what I mean by that is this notion of critical applications where we're running really ultra low latency applications for things like IoT and connected car, smart city, smart car. All of these things to me are kind of driving kind of how we sort of redefine or even use applications in a critical sense in the cloud. Would you agree with that?
So I would definitely agree. We're actually seeing this trend in two different market segments. So first of all, in the telecom segment, what we're seeing is that service providers are very aggressively looking at business opportunities like smart stadiums, industrial IoT, connected cars, HD video. They're looking at those edge compute applications as a way to generate new kinds of revenue from new kinds of customers, so directly impacting and improving, their top line revenue. We're also seeing a lot of interest in this in the industrial space. This whole concept of Industry 4.0 is all about leveraging virtualization to really disrupt multiple segments within the industrial space. So Industry 4.0 allows you to realize the concept of a smart factory, where you have software-based agents that are basically managing the processes and making critical decisions decentralized at the edge of the network. And the reason that industrial companies are so excited about this concept, it allows them to both improve their revenues and reduce their operational costs at the same time. So it's a very, very important trend in the industrial world.
That's a good point. And I think it kind of just shows how the cloud is kind of bringing together telco services and sort of other market segment services as well.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of these concepts that were originally thought of really in the telco world, as NFV, 5 or 6 years ago, are now being applied in other industries because the business challenges are very similar and the benefits of these kind of approaches, again, are very similar benefits.
Okay. So other than low latency and sort of edge architectures, are there sort of some other software characteristics or other characteristics or attributes of what I call or I consider critical applications that you're seeing?
Well, I think one of the key attributes of these new edge applications is they cannot be efficiently hosted on traditional centralized IT infrastructure. They need purpose-built platforms that are designed to operate at the edge, that are going to deliver very low latency performance, a very high degree of reliability, end-to-end security, with full support for dynamic updates, as threats change. And they need to be hosted on very small form factor footprints, both for CapEx and OpEx reasons. So we're seeing a definite trend towards the use of purpose-built infrastructure for these kind of critical applications.
So the support of critical applications, I think it's a really an important step in kind of monetizing the cloud. And that's something that really wasn't even available a couple of years ago to support kind of these critical applications. So really kind of what's changed since then from a software or from a platform perspective?
Well, it's really only in the last 2 or 3 years that companies have started introducing purpose-built edge cloud platforms that are specifically designed for these kind of critical infrastructure applications. Until then, you really had to make do, with an infrastructure platform that was designed for the requirements of enterprise IT, which is very different from the challenges that you face in edge compute. So Wind River has, over 35 years experience in these kind of critical infrastructure areas. And we saw a big business opportunity in the use of virtualization for these telco and industrial spaces. So we've introduced a family of products for this. We introduced Titanium Control for industrial control applications, and then Titanium Edge and Titanium Edge SX for edge compute applications in the telecom space.
Okay. So, Charlie, we talk about critical applications. So how do you kind of consider sort of the software platforms that these applications run on? How do you consider them different? I mean, when I think of it, I think of sort of reliability, things like reliability, performance, scalability. Those are kind of the benchmarks that you have to be able to do that. But there's more considerations for being able to create software platforms that run critical applications. What are some of the kind of top of mind, something that come to you think about when you design these products?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think those are probably the top three concerns. I mean, in terms of reliability, system has to be fault tolerant to multiple hardware and software failures.
Right.
And there needs to be no single point of failure.
Right.
And at the same time, you need to be able to guarantee a very high degree of reliability, typically 6 nines of reliability.
Right. Okay.
So there's no unplanned outages due to failures. Then in terms of performance, for these critical infrastructure edge compute applications, usually the performance parameter that matters the most is latency and jitter.
Of course.
You need to have ultra-low latency and ultra-low jitter because of the real-time nature of the data that's being transmitted and the data that's being processed. And scalability is very important too. Companies are looking for a single software solution that can scale all the way from a single server edge deployment all the way up to a multi-server data center type deployment, in a cloud environment. And of course they need to have 100% software compatibility across those platforms.
Okay, so Charlie, I guess my final question is, cloud applications running on critical software platforms, they also, I think, have some sort of new operational or additional operational kind of management requirements as well. Can you provide a bit of insight into sort of how Wind River is kind of looking at operations and management of these critical software platforms and kind of evolving to meet the needs of these platforms, the needs of these services?
Yeah, Jim, so we address these critical infrastructure applications through 3 products that we've launched over the past 2 or 3 years. For critical telco applications, we provide a product called Titanium Edge and another one called Titanium Edge SX, which is for single server edge deployments.
Okay.
For the industrial market, we provide Titanium Control, which brings the kind of benefits that we've been discussing, to the industrial control space.
Okay.
And all 3 products have common characteristics that really help to accelerate the deployment and facilitate the life cycle operation of this infrastructure. So for example, all products are delivered as a single pre-integrated image that includes the operating system, the hypervisor, OpenStack, and the Vim for the telco market. And is delivered as a single pre-integrated image that can be automatically deployed out to all nodes that are required in the system. So there's no need for a separate installation node, and the whole deployment process is fully streamlined. In terms of operations, we support fully automated software updates with no unscheduled downtime. So that's really important from the point of view of the operational guys, whether in a service provider or an industrial plant. They can automatically update their infrastructure software. And they can do it on a predetermined schedule, and there's no unscheduled downtime while that's happening. And of course, unscheduled downtime is costly for a telco, and it can be catastrophic in an industrial environment. And finally, we have an integrated intelligent patching engine that can orchestrate the provision of patches out to all of the nodes. So these kind of features are really critical, because one of the trends that we're seeing in both of these markets is there's a desire for these critical infrastructure applications to be deployed by people who are not IT experts. They're just, operational experts. So they need to have something that's really easy to deploy and really easy to maintain for the entire life cycle of their operations. And that's what we facilitate through these kind of features.
And those capabilities you just talked about, those are important because they kind of redefine what you mean by kind of a critical software platform, because these are things that you said in terms of managing upgrades and monitoring. They're kind of seamless. There's sort of no impact on the application itself. And because these are critical applications, because they are low latency, they really demand this type of, I guess, additional operational management capabilities on a platform level.
Exactly. It's the whole zero-touch concept applied to deployment and operation and maintenance of the platform.
Good point. Okay. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for joining me today and sharing us Wind River's vision of sort of the software-driven requirements for managing critical applications in the cloud. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. It's always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.